Hello, everyone, and welcome live to 3Y TV Night's broadcast of the Total Nonstop Racing Schue's Lawn Care Service Cup Series for the Wisconsin Cheese 150. I'm Peter Short, and alongside me for all the action here tonight, all the cheesy good action, that is Garrett Gleason. And Garrett, we're at the Milwaukee Mile here tonight, so the great state of Wisconsin, and of course that comes with all the cheese jokes, all the cheesy jokes that we have lined up for everyone here tonight, including highlighting these drivers' favorite types of cheese.
Peter, I have been milking Bill Edwards all afternoon, and I could not get a drop of cheese out of him, but I'm going to continue to do it after the race, hopefully in victory lane. But it's great to be here with you here for the Wisconsin Cheese 150 at the Milwaukee Mile. A lot of people before the race were telling me how much they hate this track, and seems like a fitting way to end our season. The top 8 in points are pretty much locked into the playoffs, but we have a race within the race to get that final 9th wild card slot. And I'm just excited to be here with you for all the action, bud.
Got a couple of drivers here just finishing up the practice session and getting their hot lap in right at the end. In fact, Matt Moyer right there in his machine just turned the fastest lap of everyone right before we move over into qualifying, as he lays down, as you see, the only lap time in the 29-second bracket. So pretty good here tonight for Matt Moyer, Garrett.
Pretty good lap for Matt, but Peter, I'm more shocked at that carryover speed in that number 23. Our good friend Bob on the podium in practice. I mean, they found some speed in that number 23, and you can't discount Matt Muir and Philip Scott up ahead, but I like the root for the underdog, Peter, and Bob was one of the drivers telling me how much he hated this place. So to see that practice time, maybe he was lying a little bit to me. But
well, we were wondering about when that new bathroom was going to be completed last week, and we thought that might have been the motivation to give him the speed. Well, sure enough, looks like it's doing so again here tonight.
He could just be really constipated and he's focused on his racing career because he can't go to the bathroom properly. So whatever the reason is, Peter, we accept it as a win here on 3YTV and in the Total Nonstop Racing League. But we have Bronson Stafford on the track, and that is not the groove here. And my one time racing here at the Milwaukee Mile, that was the groove I was running, and I was many laps down that race, Peter.
Well, the interesting thing is Bronson Stafford, has been so good this season. It's kind of interesting to see him down in the 8th position here in practice. We'll see whether or not he can pick that up in qualifying and, of course, in the race. But here's Tom Bourne, the number 16, couple of wins to his name so far this season here in the Schue's Lawn Care Service Cup Series. As, of course, this is round number 13 of the championship here tonight. Of course, we started off with 2 races back at Daytona, so a couple of wins to his name so far. A good job. In fact, I think more than a couple. I think up to 3 wins now here in the TNR Cup Series. Hopefully he can do well again here tonight. At least he's hoping so. As you see, we are moving over into qualifying. Big shout out to tonight's race sponsor, Bill Edwards. Scott family in the chat as well. The Windsors saying good luck, Bill. Hopefully you're having a good night, the Windsors. Johnny Williams also in the 3Wide TV chat. Will Ratcliffe as well. I think I said the Windsors were in the booth. Folks, bear with me. I have a headache. They're in the chat as they often are. We'll keep our eyes here on Bill Edwards, Garrett, as he comes around to start his first qualifying lap as tonight's race sponsor, the Wisconsin Cheese 150.
Yeah, Peter, it looks like he was using up all the racetrack there, getting some momentum down the front stretch. We're going to see if that's a strategy that a lot of these drivers go with, but it's hard for me to root for Bill on a week-to-week basis, but when you sponsor the race and help support our league, you got to give him a little bit of love, and the Wisconsin cheese idea was pretty cool. I know, like you said, we're going to go through some drivers and their favorite cheeses. There were cheeses mentioned, Peter, that I've certainly never heard of, but I'm just here in Northeast Pennsylvania where we just have pizza cheese and that's about it. But let's see what Bill Edwards comes up with here on his hot lap.
Yeah, ran that high line first lap. Must be trying to get heat in those tires in the Silent Syndicate Racing Toyota Camry. Now on what we expect to see as a hot lap. Interesting also to see, Garrett, that qualifying lap times have greatly fallen off where we were at in practice. We got a 29.997, or 29.97 rather in practice. Bronson Stafford currently fastest with a 30.2, picking it up on his practice lap. We'll see what they do on lap number 2 as Bill Edwards goes across the line. Fastest of all, 30.16. Good lap there, Bill.
Good lap, Bill. I guess there was something to that strategy of getting heat in the tires, Peter. seeing these guys laps come across here. A lot of fluctuation. Bronson Stafford up to second, Valvano third, Jonathan Gaston in fourth, Brandon Bookwald in fifth. I'm just keeping an eye on some of these guys like Valvano, Bookwald, Giaquinto. The race within the race to get that final ninth place in the playoffs. So I think a good starting spot sets you on the right trajectory to get this the race started and get where you need to go. Because as we saw last week, there's some unpredictability when these races go green. Different strategies, different things happen, and you gotta start with getting hot in practice, figuring this track out, having a good qualifying lap, and that's not it from Tom Bourne right there.
Well, Tom Bourne, he got his hot lap in, currently fastest of all on the provisional pole with just about 2 minutes left here in qualifying. So definitely showing that pace that we've seen out of him so far this season. Let's see if we can go on board here with Philip Scott, though, in the World Ninja League machine, coming out a little bit late here in qualifying. Bit surprising. Usually Philip's one of those to kind of go out there, get a hot lap in, but for right now, he knows what he needs to get to go on the pole. He needs to beat Tom Bourne's 30.07 if he wants to start up front tonight.
Yeah, I think Philip must have some strategy waiting for the track conditions, or just, like you said, waiting to see the lap to beat, and he certainly just put down the lap to beat in the 29-second range, 29.94, top of the charts for the Ninja Phil. It's been a while since Philip's been in victory lane. I think he could definitely use this momentum to get himself situated as we go into the playoffs. So, not surprised to see Philip up front, but here we go. Another contender. 75's out there on track now. Chuck Sweeting, and we know that 75 is always fast.
Yeah, the number 75, also several wins so far this season. Nicholas Marple joining us in the chat, saying good luck to Gaston here tonight. I believe that his kiddos, he's a teacher, but his kids will be getting bonus points. Gotta love bonus points.
We talk about bonus points a lot throughout the night with our stages, and then now Mr. Gaston has his students joining in for bonus points, and we're going to keep you guys on your toes. There might be a secret code word that we put in that he's going to ask you guys about in class, so just stay on your toes. If you hear anything out of the ordinary, well, you're going to hear a lot of things out of the ordinary. You know what? Just tune in, comment, so he gives you your bonus points. But he was saying something about letting this class check out a simulator this week. I think he mentioned Friday he's going to get a couple of the students on the iRacing and to see if they could be a little bit better than their teacher. So we'll see how that works out. But that 72, very talented race car driver, very talented designer. And I guess he must be a pretty cool teacher, too, if he has the students checking in on him.
I gotta say that's a pretty cool gig right there. We did see Chuck Sweeting jump up to second on the board. We said Chuck is going to be one of those drivers to watch out for here tonight. So Philip Scott, Chuck Sweeting, our front row. Tom Bourne in third. A really strong front row. That is for certain. Let's see if we can bring up tonight's starting lineup. Garrett, why don't you take it away as the field starts to grid out there here on the front stretch.
On the pole, Philip Scott in the 99. To his outside, Chuck Sweeting in the 75. Tom Bourne will start third in the 16 with Bill Edwards, our race sponsor and local hero, in the number 5. Bronson Stafford will roll off fifth with Jake Bustos to his outside in sixth. Vincent Valvano, welcome back Vinny, in the 64, starting seventh. Mr. Gaston in the 72 will roll off eighth. Brandon Bookwald is in ninth. Bob Giaquinto is in 10th. Jamar Dumas, Matt Muir are in row 6. Floppy Tellier in the 47 will start 13th. Jason Schue to his outside in 14th. And Robert Tripp will round out our 15-car field, Peter. It's a smaller field, but still a lot of talent and a lot of things at stake tonight. And I'm excited to get this thing started. As much as these guys hated the track, I think this is going to be an awesome race.
Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite racetracks in all the sim, just because it is so different. It is so flat. Some people think, well, maybe it's like New Hampshire. No, this racetrack races quite a bit different. Those turns are mighty wide. They're long. You're not really on the front stretch or the back stretch for all too long here, just due to the shape of this racetrack. Of course, I believe one of the, if not the oldest racetrack in the whole United States of America, the Milwaukee Mile. So pretty cool factoid there. It's been around for over 100 years in the Wisconsin State Fairgrounds, if I recall. So kind of a cool feature about this racetrack. And of course, it's seen the likes of many, many famous drivers over the years. This Dead Eye Racing pace truck still not rolling out there, just waiting to see it click off, as I think the whole field has gridded. There we go, finally starting to roll is Philip Scott. Great run. Garrett, he's looking for that first win on an oval. Got that win earlier this season at Pocono on kind of a triangle racetrack, but here tonight trying to pick it up on an oval.
Yeah, I think that bothers him a little bit, Peter. I mean, we know how talented he is, what a great road racer he is, and then winning at Pocono, which would be just an oddball-shaped track that we can't really classify as an oval. I think you're right, Peter. I think he wants to add an oval win to his collection, and I think this is a very good spot for him, but when you look to your outside and that 75 and decades of experience in Chuck Sweeting, and we know how smooth and consistent he is, that's intimidating, I think. But if there's anybody that's not going to be intimidated by it, it's Ninja Phil. So I think he's excited, and he's going to go nuts trying to lead this first lap, that's for sure. He's not letting that 75 lead this thing.
Well, we know Chuck Sweeting is very, very good at saving tires. How will tire saving come into the picture here tonight, as well as the iRacing pace truck heads down onto pit road? We're about to get set to go green flag racing here at Milwaukee Mile. Oh, a little bit of wheel spin as Tom Bourne does not get off the line well, and he's going to drop back just a little bit. Going to recover well in turn number 1 and 2 to get side-by-side with Bill Edwards. But, Garrett, that was almost a really big moment there for our inside second-row starter, Tom Bourne.
That was an almost. That's absolutely right, Peter. As we look at Tom Bourne recovering into third place, we look at the battle for the lead. Philip Scott looks like he's going to lead this first lap, but we have action all throughout the field. These guys are getting in line, and they're going to start eyeing each other up, see where the guy in front of them is making a little mistake. And how about you just punch him? Was that Jamar out of the way going into the corner? Not the start of this race that Jamar was looking for after getting wrecked last week.
Yeah, the number 28 Texaco machine. We were just kind of highlighting that battle for position between Robert Tripp and the number 35 and Demar Dumas here. Let's see if we get one more look. Yep, a little bit of contact right there. We might need to look at the 3-wide TV blimp cam for that one. One more time. Let's bring up the blimp cam coming out of turn number 4 down the front stretch. And Dumas did come down the racetrack a little bit, but just different braking points there off towards turn number 1. That's one thing about this track, Garrett, is it's so flat. You got to use the brake pedal quite a bit, and sometimes they don't use the brake pedal in tandem, and one of the cars ends up hurtling towards the wall like we saw there.
Yeah, that's absolutely awful. I don't think the 28 got too much damage here that's going to hurt him at Milwaukee. I think he's going to be able to get back out there, but you're just frustrated. I mean, you obviously know that guys behind you are going to have different braking points, and I think they both had a little bit of the same entry. They had different braking points, but they also wanted to enter the corner at the same area, and they just wound up into each other. But I think now you have to adjust that mentality, like, hey, the 35 is going to drive in a lot deeper than I am. 35 is behind me. I'm going to have to be very careful. But some strategy, Peter. These guys are all coming down I presume I assume they're getting fuel.
Yeah, probably just a little bit extra fuel here. Just, top it up a little bit. As you see, these drivers go into their pit box, and they're already down and away with just a splash of fuel going in the tanks. Bit early, but at least for the number 20 Demar Dumas, you'll be getting some of that damage worked on as well here under this caution. Don't expect it to be a long caution. Although this is one of the older racetracks in the sim at this point, Garrett has not seen a refresh in quite some time, mainly because this racetrack has, well, some people might think it's gone defunct over the years. It's definitely had off years and on years, but hopefully those golden years of Milwaukee Mile still yet to come. So sometimes these older tracks in the sim, they throw some extra caution laps at us. Hopefully it won't take too long before we're back green.
Yeah, I'm hoping they're going to rack them up here, checking the lights on that pace truck, see if the lights go off, and it looks like they are off. So we're getting ready to go back green. So good call on that, Peter. It's almost like a redo of the start of the race, except obviously there was some positions changed. The guy's going up pit road to top off, but the front two cars are the same. Philip Scott needs to do exactly what he did at the beginning of the race and hold off that 75. But I'm just keeping my eye. I mean, Jake Busto's up to 4th place. Mr. Gaston in 5th. I got to keep calling him Mr. since the students are watching. I don't want them thinking they could call him by the first name. But as cool as he is, he might let them, Peter. But that's not for me to say. But it's pretty cool. I like to see these guys all out there, and they seem pretty racy early on. So we're gonna have a good show tonight.
Yeah, hopefully we get the early caution out of the way and we can go back green here and hopefully go green for the remainder of the event. We haven't seen a lot of cautions so far this season, Garrett. A lot of green flag racing, and hopefully we get to see that here momentarily as the iRacing pace truck heads down onto pit road. Philip Scott and Chuck Sweeting once again making up the front row, and it looks like I was just about to say, it looks like it got a better restart for the whole field, but I think that was the number 77 of Matt Muir in the back of the field who spun his tires and ended up in the outside wall. I just thought that they were all rolling good until Matt Muir must have lit up those rear tires and unfortunately now has some right side damage on his car.
Yeah, just let Mr. Gasson students know there's this thing called the broadcaster jinx, and Peter and I are great at it. When we say the race looks good, nice clean green race, there's an accident. It's just what happens. You guys will learn this, and I know he was talking about this a little different than races on your PlayStation. This is a simulator. Like, these guys are feeling these cars for just like the real deal. Like, it's not easy out there. So if you see these guys make a mistake, you think, oh, I wouldn't do that. Well, even the best guys spin tires. The best guys will miss a corner, make mistakes, run into somebody. It happens. Nobody's perfect out there except Peter. For a long time, you were perfect, but you got the race once this year and you ended up wrecking somebody. So even the greats have their days.
Yeah, I have not been behind the wheel of an iRacing car very much in the past 3 years, and it showed. It showed that I was very rusty, and turned around Bronson Stafford at Rockingham Speedway a couple of weeks back. But speaking of Bronson Stafford, starting to make a move up through the field. He started this race in 5th. He's actually dropped back to 7th and just made that move on Vincent Valvano, so he'll try and set his sights on Bob Giaquinto in front of him. Meanwhile, up towards the front of the field, Tom Bourne has actually got around Chuck Sweeting here, Garrett. So new second-place driver trying to run down Philip Scott.
Yeah, not what I expected. Chuck Sweeting falling back to 3rd, but like you said, he likes to save his tires. We got a 40-lap stage and then a rolling stage break at lap 40, so might be saving something for later. But I expect Tom Bourne to be aggressive here, go after that 99 of Philip Scott. Can't say they're similar driving styles, but they both definitely seek that lead out and want to dominate and control the pace. So if the 16 can get to the 99, he's going to go for it. He's not just going to ride there in second place, which sometimes we do see throughout the course of our races, but I don't expect that out of the 16. Looks like that car has a lot of pace in it.
Yeah, the number 16, we know he's fast, and we've seen that quite a lot this season. Meanwhile, a little bit further back, this is some good side-by-side action. Brandon Buchwald holding off Matt Muir. We saw what happened to Matt on that restart. He's right in front of Bill Edwards. He's still running down the pylon a little bit. He did come down under that last caution to take on fuel. Now he's going to have a look to the high side of Matt Muir. You don't see many passes on the high side here at Milwaukee Mile, as it looks like Edwards still holding tough out there, Garrett, but that's really not the preferred line.
I remember getting in the marbles up there, Peter, and losing grip when I was up there. I mean, there probably is, like you said, a little bit of a groove there, but I don't expect a lot of these guys to make a pass unless the car is significantly off the pace that they're passing from the outside. But I think you could definitely use the momentum to your advantage if you get a good run on the high side, but I think they're going to be very, very few as far as the opportunities go. But these guys, I still like seeing them race side by side. It's pretty neat. A lot of talented guys in this little battle here, guys that we're familiar with running really, really well this season. So it looks pretty cool on TV, that's for sure.
Yeah, although they are a bit down the running order right now. Philip Scott still leading, Tom Bourne, Chuck Sweeting still second and third. Jack Bustos has picked up a couple of spots. He is up to 4th. Jonathan Gaston, good run for him so far. Here comes Bill Edwards back to the inside of Matt Muir. He was running the outside, not able to pass him out there, but the inside is the preferred groove, and no marbles on that inside groove. He picks up the spot, so move Bill up into 9th. Going to try and run down Vincent Valvano, but you can see a big gap to the number 23 in front of him as Brandon Buchwald. Whoa, what's happening here to Brandon as he's in the grass, G?
Yeah, he's giving out. Everybody likes to give tribute to Johnny Williams, but Johnny is the original as far as cutting the grass goes. We're looking at Brandon Buchwald here, just seeing what happened, going down the backstretch here in the turn 3, and just, wow, got really sideways there on corner entry. You think it was a brake bias thing?
Yeah, I think so. We're going to have one more look at this maybe from a little bit of an outside view. I was racing back there with Tellier, was trying to pick up that spot. I got a good run out of turn number 2, and yeah, just all by his lonesome. Back end comes out under braking and goes mowing.
Heck of a save, that's for sure. That could have got really ugly really quick, and Brandon's one of those guys that isn't running for that wild card position, so you'd hate to see your race end on something like that where you have no control and just start going towards that inside wall. So great job saving as we're back looking at the battle for the lead out back in the number 99 of Philip Scott, looking at the 16 of Tom Bourne. What an incredible angle. You can just see the difference between the car on entry and the car on exit. You can see where the 16 is gaining ground, where 16 is losing ground. Look at the little bit of gap that the 99 is pulling down the backstretch here.
Yeah, good battle for the lead. Sorry. Nah, it's been a long day, folks. It's been a long day, and I have a headache, and so sometimes you just have to let a yawn out on the stream, you know? That's just how it goes. But the racing is exciting. I'm just really tired. Tom Bourne still just hunting. Chuck Sweeney, you see him a little bit further back, but then as you can see a gap forming back to Jake Bustos. Quite a big gap to the Cummins Care Pontiac Grand Prix. Jonathan Gaston then leading the next group. Bronson Stafford 6th, Bob Giacinto and Vincent Falvano in 8th. Then there's that gap back to Bill Edwards, Matt Muir rounding out our top 10, Mike Tellier, Jamar Dumas, Jason Schue, Robert Tripp, and Brandon Bookwald still trying to recover after that kind of run through the grass. Johnny Williams saying, hey, that's my job. RC Plane saying, Phillips leading on an oval. What is this sorcery? I'm doing good so far. Started on the pole. And I have to say, Garrett, this racetrack, it is an oval, but it races quite a bit like a road course.
What do you want to do? Do you want to not give him credit if he wins this race? I mean, that's a long way from now, but if we want to take an oval win away from Philip Scott and say it's a different shape, that's your territory, bud, and I'll go along with whatever you say. So if we got to mess with Philip Scott, I'm all for it, but he's doing a tremendous job so far. And it is a bit rare to see Philip Scott out front at an oval, not necessarily out front, but leading at an oval and somewhat comfortably with a half-second lead. Yeah, definitely must be driving a little bit like a road course out there.
Well, you see from the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, a little bit of a track map. Let's see if we can check out the closest battle for position on the track. That is with Mr. Gaston right here. And to his inside, Bronson Stafford in the Hugger Oranges Ford. It looks like Bronson's going to take that spot. Now Gaston's going to fall into the clutches of Bob Giacinto in the Tabletop Trio Dodge here as we work our way through lap number 20. Kind of a long race here tonight, Garrett. 150 miles on this racetrack. It's over an hour in length under green flag conditions with those 30-plus second lap times. So these drivers going to have to be on their toes after each and every lap here tonight. It's a little bit of an endurance race.
Well, Peter, if it's an endurance race, I think you and I should be able to take a nap somewhere in between, but these guys got to cut us some slack and stop being so entertaining out there so we could power through. But you're absolutely right. This is a long race. It's obviously, like we said, the final race of the regular season, and these guys have to concentrate every lap out there. You have to hit your marks. You have to adjust your brake bias. This is the run goes on. And it's just one of those things where you can't lose focus. If you lose focus and you run into somebody because they're braking different or you overshoot a corner, your race could be over, your chance at the wild card could be over, a lot of different things. So, like you said, Peter, pace yourself, but also be aware of your surroundings and don't take anything for granted out there.
Yeah, don't take anything for granted. That is for certain. As currently Gaston still holding on to that spot. Meanwhile, back behind him, battle for position, Bob Giacinto, Vincent Valvano battling with Bill Edwards for the spot. Looks like Bill has picked it up, so move Bill up into the 8th position. Of course, that's important here in about 20 laps, Garrett, because you want to be in the top 8 positions to pick up points.
Yeah, I mean, Peter, not as much to be gained here by the 8 points this race, because obviously we're resetting the points next week. Wins are what's going to matter, but you certainly want to be in the top 8 rather than not be in the top 8. So, absolutely. I mean, there's a chance for seeding's sake that these couple bonus points could make a difference. So, top 8, that's the number that we've talked about all season long for bonus points. And you're going to have 2 opportunities to be in that top 8 tonight. Lap 40 and lap 80, so especially these guys on the bubble, yeah, certainly might be worth a differing strategy to keep yourself in that top 8 like we saw last week. Some different pit stops and stuff, guys, making sure they got those bonus points. So when we get close to lap 40, it's something I'm going to keep an eye on.
Meanwhile, a little bit further back in the pack, this is the battle for 13th between Brandon Buchwald and Jason Schue. Schue in the Goodwrench number 3, Buchwald in the Dallas Legion number 96. As, he's still getting kind of sideways. That 96 does not look happy here tonight.
You know who else doesn't look happy? Jalen Hurts, Peter. He just threw an absolute horrible interception. It looked like a child just threw it. I can't believe our sponsor Jimbo and Stay Tuned Sports is happy about that. That's probably why he's not racing tonight. But back to the action on the track. There's Mr. Gaston and our buddy Bob G. Good battle for 6th place. These guys, they've been getting better as the season goes on. I think getting a little more comfortable in these cars. We look at Bob diving underneath here. Gonna see if he could slide up and make this pass. But I can't stress how impressed I've been with these guys and how they've adapted to running different cars season after season here. I mean, some of these guys took these cars immediately, and these other guys have gotten better week after week, and that's what you like to see. Everybody just kind of feeling it out and improving. And like you said, we've had some tremendous green flag races this season.
Yeah, we've had a couple of caution-free races this season here in the Total Nonstop Racing Shoes Lawn Care Service Cup Series. We did highlight the fact that we were going to highlight some of these favorite drivers' favorite types of cheese. Philip Scott's favorite type of cheese is Parmesan cheese. He says there's nothing better than a big chunk of Parmesan. So I'm sure that Parmesan, that's what makes those Ninja Warriors. Just Parmesan, just a big chunk of it. Meanwhile, back behind him, we got, I think, Bob Giaquinto, who says that baked brie is his favorite type of cheese. A fancy one there, Bob. Bob and brie. How about that?
I've never even heard of that, Peter. Is that is a fancy cheese? Because that's not something I'm familiar with.
Well, it's if it's hard to pronounce, yes, it's fancy. Simple as that.
Fair enough.
Parmesan, you have to kind of get the Jean in it. Difficult to pronounce. Fancy. At least in my books.
Well, Peter, it's always a learning experience, and who would have thought if you tuned in, you're in Mr. Gaston's class, you learn something about online sim racing, and you learn something about cheese tonight. So that's at least worth 10 bonus points. I think he offered 5. Let's up it to 10. Garrett says, okay, I'm the commissioner.
I don't know about that. Those bonus points, they can be hard to get. Let's see if Mr. Gaston. No, he didn't have his favorite type of cheese. My dog my dog doesn't care. He eats everything, as you can hear in the background, barking at the door.
I hope he's not eating whatever's coming through the door, because if it's a person, Peter, there's a lot of paperwork involved. So let's keep that to a minimum. Maybe feed the dog some cheese, and we'll call it a night there.
Yeah, I think he's... I was about to say, I think he's given up barking at whatever he was barking at. That's definitely not true. Garrett, I'm going to go grab some medicine for my headache. Why don't you kind of cover, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, so the guy with a headache throws it to the guy that's very congested, and you hear me struggling here. We're watching Bob G in the 23 pull away from Mr. Gaston in the 72 with our buddy Vincent Valvano, who's been battling a fever for a couple of weeks. It's great to see Vincent, I was going to call. Great to see Vinny back in the racetrack. Vinny's just one of the best guys all around. Just a pleasure to have in our league. And this TV time for Mr. Gaston, it's like he's going to have this on loop in class tomorrow, and everybody's going to have to watch it. And he's going to say, oh, look how I apexed that corner, guys. You see what a great job I did? Yeah, I adjusted my brake bias down to 63 in that corner, so I got a little bit of a run on the 23 of Bob there. All these racing terms, but I can't wait to hear about some of his students getting to run the simulator this week. It's going to be an awesome thing, and I hope it's documented and he shows us on TNR, because TNR has been around for, 15 plus years at this point, and we've always considered TNR a family, and that goes for every person that's ever raced in TNR, administrated in TNR, watched the TNR race. The guys in this league that have kids, their family. I mean, this is a family deal. The more the merrier. We want to support you. We want to support this league, and we want to grow together, and that's what it's all about. So we're always looking for the next generation of race car drivers. I mean, Peter has a son. Freeman has a son. Like these guys are going to their kids are going to be outrunning me in about 5 to 10 years. Well, they probably can outrun me now, but we're not going to get into that. But look at Mr. Gaston taking the position back from Bob G. This battle for 7th place has been an entertaining one. Not much to see up near the front of the field. Philip Scott in the 99 leads Tom Bourne by closing in on 2 seconds. Chuck Sweeting is only about a tenth away from Tom Bourne there. Oh, look at this. Peter must be back because the camera switched me. So, welcome back, Peter.
Yeah, I got myself some allergy medicine with headache relief. Hopefully it does more headache relief than allergy relief, because I don't think I really have allergies. But anyway, yeah, riding on board here with Chuck Sweeting, who's run down Tom Bourne. He was a good ways back. He ran him down. But catching him is one thing, passing is another. And as you can see, Philip Scott has started to scoot away, now out to almost a 2-second lead over Tom Bourne. So Philip's doing something right up there, and definitely starting to pull away from the field. As you can see, Robert Tripp, our first car, 1 lap down. It won't be all too long before Philip Scott catches the back bumper of Jason Schue to put him 1 lap down as well. But yeah, there was definitely a good battle for that 7th position as it continues to kind of rage on back here, Garrett. And looks like Bob might have a run here on Mr. Gaston.
I think they worked this out beforehand, kind of like a pro wrestling match. Hey, let's swap this position back a couple times, make it look really cool, get on TV here. Peter will talk about us. Maybe Garrett will say something stupid. They know what they're doing, Peter. And, I mean, so far, after that little lap 2 incident, these guys have kept this race green. So we're coming in on our lap 40 rolling stage break. And then, I don't know, Peter, do you have any idea what fuel mileage is tonight? I was not able to get that number off of anyone. So at some point, maybe we'll have to interview if we don't get to a green flag stop without a caution coming up.
I don't know, but I've been surprised with fuel mileage the past couple of weeks here on the iRacing.com simulator. I think I've lost my touch to be able to really figure out what fuel mileage even is anymore. So I wouldn't be at all surprised, though, if they're screaming for tires around lap number 50 and they decide to pit for tires rather than fuel first. So we'll see whether or not anyone elects to come down on lap number 50, kind of make it a 2-stop strategy. Even though some drivers have already come down for a pit stop under that one and only caution flag that we had inside the first 2 laps. So, and well, as I say that, well, we might actually have just got our answer. Tom Bourne on pit road in the number 16 G.
Tom Bourne doesn't need those stage points, doesn't want them, doesn't care about them. Maybe, who knows, maybe just needs to make a pit stop. But like you said, our first glimpse at the strategy that these guys are going to go into. I mean, it's possible there's a, like you said, split this in the thirds, but short pitting a little bit here, going to run one of these stages longer, but maybe try to get a little bit of an advantage on fresh tires. Knew that 75 was catching and closing in with the seemingly tire advantage, as we see the 99 put the 16 a lap down. So we'll see what the new tires on the 16 do for him if he's able to close back in on this 99 and make the pass. But like you talked about, Philip Scott catching the end of this field. Brandon Bookwell in the 96 is the next car that's going to go a lap down, and then he's got a couple seconds to get them at Weir in the 77. But Peter, you gotta like the position Philip Scott has put himself in. Just now, will he be able to keep the momentum going, not make any dumb mistakes trying to get all of it on pit road, and just keep this 99 checked out from the field?
Leading from the front is the easiest. It's much better than not. As you see, Tom Bourne on those fresher tires going to put himself back onto the lead lap. It's not a long pit road here. He only really lost a lap. And with about a second and a half time differential over the run, I mean, that can sometimes pay dividends. I know I won a race here in the 3-wide racing league, back before 3-wide TV was a thing. And I actually pitted 1 extra time, Garrett, and the rest of the field, but due to the tire wear and the fact that those tires at that point in iRacing did not plateau, they continued to get worse and worse and worse, I actually won the race by a significant amount, even though I pitted an extra time, because this pit lane is not very long. It's got a very short pit lane time compared to a lot of other racetracks that we go to. It's just not a long pit road. Pit road speed here is quite high, and so that can be a strategy here at the Milwaukee Mile, is to actually make an extra pit stop. So we'll see whether or not maybe that is what Tom Bourne is thinking as well, make it a 3-stop strategy rather than a 2-stop. It might be a bit much. He might need it to go green flag the rest of the way, but we'll be keeping our eyes on that.
It's certainly trending that way, Peter. Once you get the field spread out like this, it's definitely hard to come up with a yellow. But like we saw Brandon Bookwald having that issue earlier where you just wind up in the grass. I mean, mistakes do happen. These guys could potentially put themselves in a position that would have iRacing throw the yellow. But right now, you don't see it. I mean, we've seen races that have gone green from essentially start to finish, minus that little incident. And this kind of has all the signs of that. These guys race each other clean, and once you get spaced out, it's hard to find anybody to run into, Peter.
Yeah, that is true. As you see a little bit of a wiggle out of the number 99 of Philip Scott. Those tires must be starting to get a little bit older at this point. Now, one thing I do find interesting is Philip Scott. He's getting into that window here in about 5 laps from now, Garrett. He did win stage number 1, but he's getting into that window where he can make it, kind of that 2-stop strategy, pitting on lap 50, lap number 100. Is Bookwald again going off into the grass? We've seen him mow the grass once already. Looks like a similar thing happening here, and that is actually going to bring, I believe, Chuck Sweeting quite a bit closer to Philip Scott. So Chuck, we've seen this before, Garrett, on the long run, the 575, great job of saving tires. He is marching on in on the 99 of Scott.
Peter, it's like you've known Chuck Sweeting forever and know exactly how he races. Oh, wait, you do. But Chuck saves those tires. He knows that this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. And he keeps the tires under that 75 better than anyone I've ever seen. And Peter, I've raced with you. I've raced with Jason Gracias, guys that are just great racers, good at saving their stuff. I've never seen anything like Chuck Sweeting. He knows absolutely, positively what to get out of that race car and when to get it out of the race car. And he always has it when he needs it as far as speed goes. And we're watching him catch a very quick 99 of Philip Scott, who had a multiple second lead. That's down to about 8/10 right now. So we'll see if Philip can pull back away before they make their first pit stop.
And Garrett, while these drivers start to close in on their first pit stop, we got Leland and Sienna in the chat rooting on Mr. Gaston. How are you both doing here tonight? Welcome to 3Y TV and tonight's broadcast of the Schue's Lawn Care Service here. And great to see some more of Mr. Gaston's kiddos in the chat. And gotta say, pretty cool to see them here tonight. As speaking of Mr. Gaston, he's running in the 6th position right now. They all want an interview, but he's out there on the racetrack. He's focusing on hitting his marks, keeping that number 72 pointed in the right direction. There he is, currently in the 6th spot, pulled away from Bob Giaquinto quite a bit. Last time we checked in on this battle for the 7th position, they were kind of tied up close to each other. Now it would be for the 6th position after, I think, the number 16 Tom Bourne pitted. But for right now, things looking pretty good for Jonathan Gaston. As Philip Scott, Garrett?
It says out, Peter. That's never a good sign. What the heck happened?
I don't know.
Tornado?
Let's go. Well, that's the last time this happened to us here on 3Wide TV, is Philip Scott got a tornado warning, and he had to Alt F4 out of the race. But let's see if we can see what happened. And ironically, he was leading. Here he goes down the backstretch, and poof, just disappeared, Garrett. And that was the last we saw of the number 99 to Philip Scott. I mean, this is very much like what we saw in the NSRA truck series that we also broadcast, or the NSRA Xfinity series that we broadcast here on the channel on Thursday nights. He was leading that race, and then tornado warning kind of forced him to leave, and I don't know. Now I have to go see if there's another tornado warning in Michigan, as our then race leader, Chuck Sweeting, is on pit road right now.
Peter, I'm not making light of Philip's safety, and obviously we want everybody to be safe, but as a single guy with no family, Peter, if I'm ever leading a race, I don't care what type of weather comes at me. I am staying here until somebody takes the lead away from me, or I am dead, because I do not get the opportunity to lead races like you and Philip Scott and Chuck Sweeting, and here's Bill Edwards. I'll be like that guy that I'm not gonna make that mention. We have students in the chat. That guy when the volcano erupted, but he was doing that thing that sometimes single guys do, and they caught him for all of eternity in that position. So I'm going to be that guy, Peter, but hopefully with my hands on the wheel and not on myself.
Well, I'll tell you what, Philip Scott must be kicking himself right now because he's back out there on the racetrack, so maybe just a connection problem for the World Ninja League Dodge as he heads off into turn number 1 because he is currently being scored in 14th position. And you can see still only 1 lap down. That's good news. But the bad news is down in 14th. I would think that he's also got tires and got full set of fuel on that car as well. So maybe it served as his pit stop while it was all going on. But for reference, he's been racing a lot with the number 75, Chuck Sweeting. He is a full lap behind Chuck Sweeting out there on the racetrack. So just not good for Philip Scott, unfortunately, as he finds himself about a minute and a half behind where he was just a short while ago with that connection problem. It has to be some type of internet connection. I did look. No tornado warnings in his neck of the woods, so it wasn't tornado warnings tonight, unfortunately, G.
Well, I'm glad
or maybe fortunately. I guess.
Yeah. Let's go. Fortunately on that. But so, if you're new to sim racing, maybe you're new to NASCAR. You've got some students in here. Maybe this is your first rodeo. Well, it's not actually a rodeo. It's a NASCAR simulation race. But that's neither here nor there, Peter. What we have here in NASCAR and Total Nonstop Racing is what they call a free pass or lucky dog. So just because you go 1 lap down, you will have the opportunity by either being the first car 1 lap down, or having everyone pit that is on the lead lap, you can gain your lap back. So if you're a Philip Scott fan, what you're rooting for right now is the yellow flag to come out and be able to kind of get back to the point where you could either unlap yourself or get a lap back through strategy. But right now, his hands are pretty much tied. You have to run this thing out, and you're going to need guys racing in bunches like this to maybe run into each other and cause that yellow to give yourself that chance. But you don't give up on somebody just because they go a lap down, unless they're like me or somebody like that.
Battle right now for the 9th position on the racetrack between Bob Giaquinto and Jamar Dumas. Not sure why Bob, I don't know if he had a slow lap time. Maybe he stayed out a little bit longer, got undercut by some of these drivers, but Bob finds himself down in 9th, and look right behind him. That is Chuck Sweeting looking to put some of these drivers, he's not quite yet the race leader, but I expect once everything cycles on through that Chuck will get himself back to the race lead. He's actually trying to get around Mike Tellier here for position as Mike peels off onto pit road. I think that will complete our pit road cycle. Chuck is about 8 seconds behind Tom Boren. That's quite a bit, but he does have fresher tires, so we'll see how long it takes for the fresher tires to prevail here as Chuck will inevitably close in on the back of the 16 of Bourne. Bronson Stafford is up into 3rd, but look at these gaps. Gee, we got currently 7.5 or so seconds between 1st and 2nd, and then between 2nd and 3rd, you're looking at about 15.5 seconds. It is massive gaps out there for me as Bronson Stafford having some connection problems. Bill Edwards in 4th seems to be okay. Good recovery for Bill. Remember, he started in 4th, then decided to pit under that first green flag, had to drop way to the back of the field, and he's slowly been working his way up. I know we usually have the Windsors in the channel, in the chat, rooting on Bill. So far so good for Bill, trying to set his sights on the back of Bronson Stafford, who's about 1.5 seconds up the road from him. Bill does have slightly fresher tires as well, G, so that will further make Bill Edwards the favorite in this battle as this run goes on.
Yeah, we're seeing Tom Bourne take advantage of that short pit. He jumped out to about an 8-second lead. It's already down a second, under 7 seconds. We're watching the battle here between 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Bronson Stafford, Bill Edwards, Jake Bustos. And there's only 5 cars on the lead lap, and it looks like we have a little bit of trouble out there at 35 of Robert Tripp. It looks like he might have done some grass cutting here in the Schue Lawn Service Series. Let's take a look. 35, whoopsie daisy.
Yeah, had to get it caught. Good job not running into any walls or anything like that. So Robert will live to fight another day. He was involved in the one and only caution flag that we've had in the opening 62 laps here at the Milwaukee Mile. There is your race leader right now, Tom Bourne, Sky Motorsports Ford, right in front of Jonathan Gaston, as Gaston tries to get himself unlapped here, put himself back onto the lead lap. As looking at that scoring ticker, we currently only have 5, about to be 6 cars on the lead lap as Gaston gets really tight, trying to unlap himself the hard way here, Garrett, but surprisingly, only 5 cars on the lead lap, and we're only on lap number 63.
And you know what? If Mr. Gaston unlaps himself, Peter, I'm up at 15 bonus points per student for watching this race if he unlaps himself, and he can't take it back, Peter. Once it's online, it's forever. So, yeah, this race has gone green, and green flag races with differing strategy, this tends to happen. And there might not be more than 2 cars on the lead lap by the end of this thing if the strategy keeps playing out the way it seems. And Chuck is really closing in on the 16 second at a time. So, what you deal with here, now you have to assume strategy-wise that this race is going to stay green until it proves otherwise. So keep that in mind as we look at the battle here on the track. We see Chuck working his way through some lap traffic with Vince Valvano and Bob Giaquinto out there. The more cars you get in the pack, the more of a chance there becomes for a yellow, and I think a lot of these guys are hoping for one, that's for sure.
Yeah, that number 23, Bob Giaquinto, he pitted on lap number 51, 1 lap after Vincent Valvano, so he has slightly fresher tires here, but just doesn't seem to be able to make the move on the Talkin' Giants Ford in front of him just yet. It is quite a ways up the road to Mike Floppy Tellier after he made his pit stop there, pitted from the 2nd position, although has stayed out longer than pretty much anyone else here tonight. Tom Bourne up front, still keeping Jonathan Gaston 1 lap down. So we saw a lot of pace out of this number 16 earlier. He tried that undercut G, and so far so good, but Chuck Sweeting now down inside of 4 seconds behind him.
Peter, we have that fancy graphic you like to show that shows how much Chuck is closing in lap by lap here. I would like to see that. There it is. Look, wow. You ask and you shall receive. But Chuck's taken anywhere from, looks like almost 4/10 up to about 8/10 a lap off of this lead. So those fresher tires are coming forward, and the short pitting strategy is coming back to that 75. So, oh, Peter, here's the yellow. And Mr. Gaston will be our free pass recipient as long as he's not involved in it. And he certainly isn't because he's right on my screen. But let's take a look at what brought out this yellow.
Yeah, 2nd caution flag of the night. Do see a slow car out there on the racetrack. I think that's the number 96 machine of Brandon Buchwald. Here we go. Let's cue this one up. Coming out of turn number 4. Back end comes around and, noses it into the wall right there on the inside of the racetrack, and of course on an active pit road entry, that's enough to bring out the caution. Looks like he might have had to back it up as to not avoid, or to avoid rather, the pit road there. Here we go, one more look. Back in comes around and just not quite able to lock it down fast enough. So tough break there for one of our Canadian drivers who was running in the back of the field. He is currently, I think, 1 or 2 laps down. Make it 2 laps down. Looks like we got leaders coming down onto pit road here on lap number 68, G.
Yeah, once our lucky dog takes his lucky dog, let's give the students what they want. We'll grab them for an interview, Peter, if that's okay with you. Certainly a good break for the 72, and a couple of these guys I think will take the waiver round here, Peter, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken. I've been wrong plenty. I'll certainly be wrong again throughout the course of the night here. So this is kind of like a reshuffling of the deck, one might say. These guys are going to be able to get pretty much on the same tire strategy, and then we're going to see where strategy goes from here.
And I think that plays to the advantage of Tom Bourne. He's now in the same cycle and strategy of everyone else, but he's also our race leader. So he gets to be on the same tire set age as Chuck Sweeting. So I think that's good news. There is Jonathan Gaston, our lucky dog, under this caution flag. Let's see if we can get him into the 3 wide TV booth. Jonathan Gaston, Peter Short, 3Y TV booth. You got a lot of fans in the chat here tonight rooting you on and wanting to know what your favorite type of cheese is.
I'd probably say Swiss.
Hey, I don't blame you. Swiss is a good type of cheese, but a good run for you right there. You weren't quite able to get the lap back the hard way, but you get the lucky dog caution coming at a good time for you. Kind of tell us how that number 72 is driving tonight.
I was driving pretty good. I was surprised. I thought I was burning up the right front, but apparently I'm doing a little bit better saving tires than I thought. So I'm going to start trying to push it a little bit more and see if we can't get a little bit better finish out of this.
Well, you can hear the pit crew air guns go to work as the right side tires go on. A little bit of a reset here just before the halfway mark. What are your thoughts about this particular racetrack? It is unique. It's very flat.
It's definitely a tough track. You got to watch your braking, and you really got to be easy with these cars because you got so much horsepower coming off the corner that if you get in it too much, you're just going to spin it out. And you just got to really baby it around here and take care of your stuff.
Well, so far, so good for you here tonight. I think Garrett Gleason is at least giving out Gleason bonus points to your kids. I think Garrett is now up to like 15 Gleason bonus points or something. Garrett just gives out bonus points left, right, and center.
Peter, let's pretend it's like the Giants defense. We'll just give everybody points. All right, let's give them 40 bonus points apiece for Mr. Gass's class, and take tomorrow off, everybody.
Well, I can do the points, but I can't give them tomorrow off.
Well, alluding to the New York Giants defense, that's a pretty good one. But nonetheless, a good run for you so far here tonight, and best of luck here in the back half of tonight's 150
lap
event.
Say hi to your students. Say hi to them.
Hey guys, what's that phrase that I taught you today in class? Type that in your chat and see if you guys can remember it.
We here on 3Y TV are now standing intently. We'll let you get back to it, Jonathan. Good luck.
All right, thank you.
All right, well, the iRacing pace car does head down onto pit road, so we'll let this field go to work as we are back. Green flag racing, good restart for everyone. You see the back half of the field there, G, not formed up. They weren't quite able to take the wave around to get back onto the lead lap and catch back up to the field. So that's kind of a tough break for them, but good news for Tom Bourne as he's out front right now. Look at Bill Edwards there racing in third.
Look at Bill, the cheese connoisseur that he is, mixing it up here in third place. I think it would be very special for Bill to win this race, be able to shout out his mom in the chat, and he'll celebrate with a big block of cheese of his choosing there, Peter. But like you said, I think the 16, this strategy played right into his hands, but some of these other guys haven't been able to show what they have, and I think Bill Edwards, Bronson Stafford, and Mr. Gaston, and Peter, I can name everybody in the field. These guys are back on the lead lap. They have a chance of winning this thing.
Yes, and especially if another caution flag comes out. Now, no caution flag did come out for what just happened to Jason Schue. Let's see what happened here to the number 3 machine. Garrett, coming out of turn number 4. Very similar incident to what we saw earlier with, I think, Brandon Buchwald. I think it's happened to Buchwald twice. But the number 3 of Schue able to corral it, not hitting anything, but did lose a good amount of time in that scuffle. Now, another thing to note, look who's back on the lead lap, Garrett. The number 99 of Philip Scott took that wave around, and the driver who dominated the first 50 or so laps here tonight, back on the lead lap, just needs a caution flag to get reset, get some fresh tires on it. And if he can get those fresh tires on it, I'm sure we'd see him march to the front in a hurry, as we will see the cross flags indicating that we are halfway this time by here in tonight's Wisconsin Cheese 150. Jamar Dumas side by side with Brandon Buchwald. And this back half of the pack, Buchwald currently being scored 1 lap down. Jason Schue also being scored 1 lap down. But we did say that we're going to highlight favorite drivers' cheeses. Well, let's see if we can talk about some more. Mike Floppy Tellier, the Canadian driver, I was expecting him to say, something interesting. His favorite cheese is jalapeno Gouda cheese. also very extravagant. These people have very extravagant types of cheese. Robert Tripp, back of the field, his favorite cheese is pepper jack cheese. So keeping with the spice and everything nice with the Canadian of Tellier and Robert Tripp here. Jalapeno Gouda and pepper jack between these two. We got, I think, Bridesmaid Bustos. There's Bridesmaids Bustos. There's Jake Bustos. He indicated that he likes provolone cheese, which is pretty interesting. Says that it's low-key slept on, as did Matt Muir. So Matt Muir in the number 77, also a provolone fan. Kind of surprised that it didn't seem like we got, all too many similar answers from people here tonight. Brandon Buchwald said Gouda cheese. The other Canadian. What's up with the Canadians and Gouda cheese? Got Brandon Buchwald and Mike Floppy Tellier. Now, Mike likes the jalapeno Gouda cheese, but Gouda cheese must be very Gouda up in Canada.
Well, I'll let you have that joke all to yourself, but I'm not going to even chime in on that one. Well, we see the Gouda cheese enthusiast of Brandon Buchwald make his way down pit road, and we're going to see if this is part of a scheduled stop. It very well could be. Who am I to say it isn't, Peter? So,
good. We got a good question from the chat. G. Oh. Tom Bourne got someone asking him like, "Hey, what the heck just happened to Tom Bourne?" Let's see if we can figure out what happened to Tom Bourne. The number 16. Here he is. This was a couple of laps ago. Going down there on the flat side of the racetrack on the apron, the back end comes out, does a great job saving it, but you can see goes from the lead back to fourth. In fact, lost a spot to Jonathan Gaston that he was actually able to pick back up. But Tom Bourne was your race leader. Now, not so much, as he's trying to run down this front pack again. Chuck Sweeting, Bill Edwards, Bronson Stafford, and Tom Bourne are top four right now. I'm also surprised with Bronson. We saw that number 61 didn't really have the pace in qualifying, didn't really have the pace in practice, but he's figuring this racetrack out. He is our points leader for a reason here in the Total Nonstop Racing Shoes Lawn Care Service Cup Series, and that has been Mr. Consistency so far in the opening 12 races, and showing that again here tonight.
Peter, you and I mean, not that we've done every season in the booth together, but we do work together occasionally. We talk about consistency all the time. Mr. Consistency win the championship, Mr. Consistency. It really is what it takes. Like, you need to put yourself in these positions every week, as we're watching Brendan Bookwell have an issue, and that's in turn 2, which is good for a change. We've been seeing a lot of issues out of turns 3 and 4, so looked like just not the night that the 96 was hoping for. He had a shot at being our wild card. And speaking of our wild card, Peter, it looks like right now Bridesmaid Bustos in the 74 Coleman's Care Pontiac, I believe it is in our transfer spot. Unless I'm missing something, I believe the other guys are actually locked in for the playoff hunt. So Jake's exactly where he needs to be, and I'm so happy and proud of him repping Coleman's Care. Christian does a great job with his business, and since I can't be out there running last in the colors, we hired a guy that could run somewhere in the top 10. So even better.
Meanwhile, Bronson Stafford just made the pass for second, and here comes Tom Bourne trying to make up for that mistake. He's also going to pick up a spot on Bill Edwards, so Bill slides back into fourth position here on lap number 84, kind of a 2-for-1 in the wrong direction for Bill Edwards. Meanwhile, in the chat, I think we're finding out what they're learning about from Mr. Gaston, his students. They say they were talking about tax and acts, and they learned about the Boston Tea Party, watched a 30-minute video, and no taxation without representation is the fact. I'm not sure if that's supposed to say no taxation without representation or no taxation without respiration, but both kind of apply. Both kind of apply in that particular scenario. So pretty cool to see the students here learning not only in class, but carrying that over into the 3-Wide TV broadcast here, folks. And pretty cool to see that for sure. As you see out here on the racetrack, Tom Bourne has caught the back of Bronson Stafford. This will be for second if he's able to get on by. Best battle for position right now. Jake Bustos actually just lost a spot to Mike Floppy Tellier, so move Bustos back to 7th and not all too far in front of Philip Scott, who continues his recovery through the field here tonight.
Yeah, we've spent time talking about guys running out front and setting the pace and doing all that sort of thing, but you're right. We're getting to the point where now we're starting to talk about guys recovering, guys learning, guys adapting. 61, absolutely moving his way up in the second place. We're keeping our eye on the 99 of Philip Scott. Will he be able to hang on to this lead lap, put himself in position that if Caution comes out, he could dominate this race again, Peter, with the right yellow here and there. And Tom Bourne, the 16, had all the pace in the world and is closing back in on second place. But, man, you give Chuck Sweeting that much of a gap back, it's going to be hard to get back that 75. But it looks like the 75 is in a bunch of traffic up there, Peter.
Yeah, Chuck is having to navigate his way on past Jason Schue and the number 35 of Robert Tripp. Looks like he's going to easily do so here in turn number 3 and 4. But lap traffic can definitely get in the way and set you back just a little bit. Is Jonathan Gaston there still holding on to a top 5 and all by his lonesome. Garrett, he said he was going to try and push maybe a little bit harder under this green flag run. Still might be saving tires versus some of those drivers around him. We'll see whether or not he starts to make some inroads on Bill Edwards in 4th as the run continues on. But one thing to note, Garrett, we're probably only about 5 laps away from knowing that we're in the window to make it the rest of the way, at least on fuel. I believe Mike Floppy Tellier made it 57 laps in that first green flag run. Maybe a little bit less than that. Looks like Gaston here. Not sure if he's saving tires, saving fuel or something, but Tellier just ran him down from way back, and that's going to slide Gaston back into 6th and now into the clutches of Bustos. And something seems to be kind of off with Gaston right now. Not sure if he's having some hardware issues, but definitely off the pace, and you see well up the racetrack is, definitely something not going well for the number 72 right now.
Yeah, they're either that or he's trying to text back to the chat. There's no texting and driving, Mr. Gaston. If they want to be taxed without representation, that's up to them. Let them figure it out. You can talk about it in class tomorrow, but on a serious note, something definitely went awry there with the 72. Did he have a bad lap, get up in the marbles, or is it something more than that? I think at this point, Peter, I'm looking at 60-ish laps left in this race. I might be thinking about your extra stop strategy, see if I could just do something a little bit different than everyone else and give myself a chance at this victory. If it worked for Peter Short, it probably can't work for me, but I'd like to try it anyway.
I'm very confused by the brake bias knob. Do you see that, G? Look at that brake bias knob. Just below the fire suppressor. It's pointing. It's like a compass.
Yeah, what's going on there?
Jonathan, your brake bias knob is it's broken.
We found the issue.
It's very broken. Look, it just kind of like rolls over in the corner. It's like a compass or something. It like points north. But I'm just kind of watching that speed. It seems like he's back up to pace here. Getting up to 150 miles an hour on the straightaways. But and I think that's what most of the other drivers have been kind of running. So I really don't know what happened there. You see on board with Jake Bustos. You see Bustos just below 150 before they go off into turn number 1. Same thing with Jonathan Gaston that time. So let's see if it looks like everyone's brake bias. So as it just kind of, it's got to be like compass based or something, because it seems like it points. It seems like it's fixed on the front straightaway, and then it just kind of is reversed on the backstretch. So now I have to figure out whether this racetrack kind of points north, south, east, west or something, and maybe that, and surely that's a bug eye race. I mean, it is a bug, but that's a new one. I don't think I've ever seen that one before. It's Chuck Sweeting there on the front stretch out to a 2.7 second lead over Tom Bourne, who's not been able to pull away at all from Bronson Stafford. And Stafford able to hold with him. Same thing with Bill Edwards. Those second through fourth position kind of lockstep with one another. Then it's 11 seconds back to Mike Tellier. And Philip Scott, Jake Bustos, and Jonathan Gaston in the number 72, who continues to be bleeding time. Not exactly sure why, but hopefully he's able to turn it around as we are coming up on lap number 100, when I would expect to start to see some people come down pit road. Maybe around between 100 and 110 is where I'd expect to see most of our leaders on pit road. We'll see whether or not that is true or not here in the next few minutes or so. But so far, so good. Nicholas Marple rooting on the number 72 to catch back up, get back up into the fray. But for right now, this is the best battle on the racetrack, and it is for second, third, and fourth.
Can't complain with the battle up towards the front of the field. I mean, I like the battles towards the back of the field as much as anyone, but this is a pretty good battle. We have some Sky Motorsports teammates here, Tom Bourne, Bronson Stafford, guys that pretty much we talk about week after week. Wow, look at him closing the corner in that Hugger Orange's Ford Fusion. That is quite the run, and it seems like Bronson wants that second position back from Tom Bourne. Our buddy Bill just staying there in fourth place, probably giggling and talking in his headset about cheese and the people in his chat, and just saying hi to his mom over and over, just practicing, because that's what he does, and that's why we love Bill. And I like seeing Bill in this top four. I think Bill definitely has strategy card up his sleeve that he will try something that nobody else will try around here, and he's trying to drive it really deep, and the 61 is driving deep, Peter, and I do not want to let go of my mic button right now because this action is very intense and I don't want to miss any of it.
Well, I'll let you just keep chatting. You might scare off some of the people in the chat if you keep chatting, so maybe it's not the best idea in the world, but it is a good battle for position right here, as I think Philip Scott is on pit road right now, so the number 99 blinks first, as he has honestly done a fantastic job recovering from being a lap down with those connection issues. I was kind of sure, Garrett, that those drivers who did not pit under that last caution were going to have a tough time of it. But now, if cautions fall their way, they might actually be in the catbird seat if they get, caution maybe with about 10, 15 laps left, because I think Chuck Sweeting, Tom Bourne, they only have one set of tires left here tonight. They only have that final set of tires. So, big wiggle from Bronson Stafford. Here comes Bill Edwards looking to the inside after that little mistake from the Hugger Orange's Ford Fusion. Here comes the Toyota Camry, knocking on third place's door, and he's going to take it coming out of turn 4, so move Bill back up into third. He's going to have his sights now set up on Tom Bourne for second.
Yeah, I think that 5 is deceptively fast, Peter. He seems to have pace to compete with these guys, especially for second place. I mean, I'm not sure. Well, I mean, the 16 seemed to have enough pace for the 75, and we think the 99 has enough pace if he can get back in the same interval there. But look at the different arcs in the corner here, with Bill taking that completely low line, the 16 going up the track a little bit, and I think that's going to be the position given to Bill. I think Bill will be able to pull this off here in turns 1 and 2, but Bronson. Tom Bourne's not going to let him have it. But he might have to, because there's the move, and we'll see if he can hold off Bronson for third.
Vincent Valvano coming down pit road, also hearing that Jake Bustos has headed down pit lane as well. Here comes the number 28 machine there, top of your screen, Jamar Dumas coming down onto pit road. Bob Giaquinto as well. Bob going to hit that pit road speed limiter. Brandon Buchwald in the number 96. I think he called it a night after that little moment off of turn number 2. So only 14 drivers still running out there on the racetrack right now, as I think Bronson Stafford coming down pit road. No Bronson Stafford. Not yet. Bronson actually just put a move on Tom Bourne. Let's see if we can see what happened here. Looks like the number 16 there of Bourne maybe up the racetrack. We saw him get passed just a moment ago by Bill Edwards. And that might have been just enough to open the door for Bronson. And sure enough, Bronson just cuts up in front, moves himself up onto the podium once again. So Mr. Consistency, as we have been calling him, as it looks like we got the number 97 on pit road. That is number 47, rather. Garrett,
It was 97 for like 20 years, Peter. That's not our fault.
I know. Well, that's what I was just about to. I was just about to say the same thing. Mike, you were number 97 forever, and you had to change your number. You just had to do it to 47. I mean, it's basically the same number, just 50 removed. I don't get it. But meanwhile, Chuck Sweeting kind of hold on to his 4-second lead. Bill is closing just a smidgen, but not significantly, as I would expect to see Chuck on pit road in the next 2 or 3 laps. We'll see whether or not that happens. This is a racetrack where I'd much rather get on pit road first than last, but I don't know. Chuck has won a lot of races from right where he is and doing what he does best, which is save tires. You did see Bronson Stafford there momentarily. He was just coming off of pit road. There is the number 23 of Bob Giaquinto. He pitted a couple of laps ago. He is down right now in the 11th position, of course, trying to race his way into the chase for the championship here in the Total Nonstop Racing League. The top driver on the scoring pylon at the end of the... Oh, Bob goes around off of turn number 4, and caution flag waves. That's not what Bob wanted. He's going to be stuck 2 laps down. And Chuck Sweeting, Bill Edwards, and Jonathan Gaston, our 3 cars on the lead lap. Gee, my oh my. Caution flag. Oh, look at the pace truck. Wow. That pace truck was hauling the mail. It's still hauling. He's drifting. That pace truck is drifting around this racetrack.
The pace truck wins. The pace truck wins. Peter, I hope Bob was not holding in a poop for that new bathroom, because he probably lost it here with the spin. Let's take another look at this number 23 tabletop trio.
No, we're watching the pace truck first. The pace truck's more entertaining. Look at this pace truck, man. That guy is just booking it.
The British are coming. The British are coming, and he's driving the pace truck. Look at that.
Yeah, we're gonna get one more. We're gonna try and get one more look at this pace truck here. Hopefully, the pace truck hasn't passed by already at this point. Well, maybe it has. Hold on. Let's just go to the 3Y TV rewind here. There it goes. There it goes. All right, let's hit play. Let's hit play. Dude, that thing is booking it. That thing is absolutely booking it there on the flat side of the racetrack. As let's see, though, if we can see what happened, unfortunately, to Bob Giaquinto, who at one point here tonight had a great race going. Just trying to dial up the replay. Here we go. Bob G coming out of turn number 4, lights up the rear end, and it goes around in a hurry. Does a great job of kind of getting it stopped and pointed in the right direction, but not before the yellow flag waves for the 3rd time tonight.
Peter, when you said lights up the rear end, I was just thinking about the new bathroom, and I lost it for a second. I just want to let you know.
Will Ratcliffe joining us in the chat saying the pace truck is an ex-drift champion. I'd give him top marks for that, 10 out of 10. But looks like we're going to take a couple of these drivers with the rave around under this caution. And Garrett, they're going to have to hustle to get caught back up to the back end of the field. We saw them before, I think under that last caution flag, kind of do the same thing. And it really did not work out for them, because they lost all that time catching up to the tail end of the field. As you see Jonathan Gaston there, I think he's going to be restarting in 3rd. He just wanted to briefly lead the race for all of his fans back at home. But this is going to put Gaston in a pretty good position here to possibly get a podium here tonight. Wouldn't that be cool to have all of his, all of the kids, maybe not all of the kids, but some of his students watching and get a post-race interview? That would be a lot of fun. Hopefully we do see that, as I can officially say my headache is abating. It's seems to be lightening up a little bit. That's good news. Probably that Benadryl. But if I fall asleep here in the final 40 laps, you just blame it on the on the Benadryl.
Peter, if I take Benadryl, I get horrible anxiety, and I didn't realize that till I'm 33 now. I think it was like last year. My father was telling me a story. He's like, "Yeah, I can't take Benadryl anymore. It gives me horrible anxiety." And I'm thinking, that's why I'm always a nervous wreck every time my allergies act up. So I've changed to the non-Benadryl allergy medication, but it's certainly that time of year. I've been battling the same probably type symptoms since last Thursday, and you could hear how stuffed up I am. So I'm glad to hear you're feeling a little better. I was thinking you were like Hank Hill, not going to take anything for your headache and like yell at your wife, but I'm glad to hear it.
You know, I'm just surprised that it isn't TNR that's giving you the high anxiety. But it is what it is. Bronson Stafford was the lucky dog under this caution flag. iRacing Pace Truck heads on to pit road with a last-minute dash on to pit lane. And green flag waves once again. Chuck Sweeting out front. Bill Edwards, Jonathan Gaston, and Bronson Stafford, our top 4 as they run. Then Tom Bourne took the wave around. Philip Scott in 6th took the wave around in that impressive recovery from having connection issues. Meanwhile, up at the front of the field, here comes Bronson Stafford. He's already trying to make a move on Jonathan Gaston. This would be for 3rd. Looks like he is going to take that spot. Here comes Tom Bourne, who had just pitted a couple of laps prior. But this is not good news for Tom Bourne. You remember, G, that Tom Bourne was an early pitter earlier in the race. Well, he pitted early under this caution flag. I think it worked out for him under caution flag number 2, but under caution flag number 3, that early pit strategy did not work in his favor at all. As I say that he has 2 lap older tires than some of these other drivers that he's racing with, and that can matter here on this mile racetrack with how much it eats up your tires. 37 laps to go here tonight in the Wisconsin Cheese 150. I think we've almost hit everyone's favorite types of cheese, but I think we might have a couple of others that are not in the field here tonight. So John Cannizzaro Jr. Decided to go with Colby Jack. And I have to say, Colby Jack is a good type of cheese. The AC Money. I don't know who the AC Money. Who is the AC Money? G, do you know? You know who that is?
Nope.
Well, the AC Money, whoever that is, just so happened to say that Havarti is the king of cheeses. Interesting choice there. Matthew Rodriguez just had a picture of an American flag, I believe alluding to American cheese. Which wouldn't be my pick, but there's nothing better on a burger, I must say. American cheese on a burger is just the taste of America. Bill Edwards had a bunch of mice, people dressed up as mice in what appears to be Swiss cheese. So I'm going to say Bill Edwards' favorite cheese was Swiss cheese. Hopefully that number 5 machine doesn't end up like a piece of Swiss cheese at the end of the night. Johnny Eckert was all about the fried cheese sticks, and I have to say, cheese sticks are pretty tasty. Some Sonic fried cheese sticks, not bad. Jason Freeman, not in the field here tonight. He said Cooper White American cheese. I can't say I've tried Cooper White American cheese, but maybe I need to.
I like Cooper cheese, Peter, especially when I'm just making a sandwich. Cooper cheese is definitely a go-to for me. I like a variety of cheeses, but that is definitely one of the more consistent ones. And Freeman, I'm surprised it's not some kind of cheese from the Amish that live near him. He's always on the Amish farms getting stuff from his Amish customers, and he always has some pretty cool food. So it must be like homemade, churned. He's probably out there milking the cow himself, although I don't think you do that at 9 o'clock at night.
I'm trying to find Cooper brand cheese anywhere close to me, and no stores found.
Yeah, it's just an American cheese, I think, just with a little extra. I don't think it's anything really special. I imagine if you went to the nearest store with a deli, they would have it, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you just do things differently in Texas, Peter. Which, speaking of Texas, Peter, you know what we didn't touch on is the Dallas Cowboy game yesterday. I mean, we like to talk about the Giants a lot in the channel, and as the son of a Cowboys fan, I heard a lot of screaming when I was over at my mother's house yesterday with that game on.
Yeah, you would. You would. Everything that went right for the Cowboys against the Giants went wrong for the Cowboys against the Cardinals of all teams. So, but again, I have to say I have a special place in my heart for the Arizona starting quarterback, whose name unfortunately eludes me.
Josh Dobbs, you got
Josh Dobbs. There we go. Yeah, and I think I said this on the stream last week. Is the fact that he's an aerospace engineer, got his degree from the University of Tennessee. I'm also an aerospace engineer by degree, and I knew people who knew Josh Dobbs. I knew an individual who had several classes with him, and said he was a very intelligent individual. Was not one of those football players who's just there to not do anything. Just kind of get a degree by letting other people do the work. Was just very smart, very intelligent team player, and so that speaks volumes for an individual who can go out there, get a degree, and also become a starting quarterback. An aerospace engineering degree, and then become starting quarterback at the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, very, very impressive individual. So, got to say, Josh Dobbs, I'm proud of you in more ways than one. Got that degree, and supposedly just a very nice person as well to be around. So, I when I went to college, I had classes. I can officially say I had 2 classes with the starting quarterback of the University of Texas. And that's not saying much over the past 10 to 15 years, pretty much ever since Colt McCoy. But in those 2 classes with the starting quarterbacks, neither of them were the nicest individuals to be around in class. I actually sat behind one of them, who, believe it or not, ended up becoming, I believe, a free safety by the time he left the university. He started as starting quarterback. It didn't work out for him when you go all the way to the defensive side of the ball. But I had a class with him. I sat right behind him, and you know what he did for like 90% of the class? He played on his.
Please tell me.
He played on his phone. He played agar.io on his phone. You remember when agar.io was like the biggest thing in the world, and everyone was playing this game where you eat other people and become bigger on your phone? He played that in class, and one time the professor called him out on it. Just flat out called him out. Saw that he wasn't doing anything, and of course he's the quarterback, so when he gets called out, everyone knows his name. Everyone in the whole room, well, maybe not everyone, but most people in the room, knows his name, calls him out. And I can't remember what it was about, but he had to answer a question, and he had absolutely no idea what was going on. So, yeah, they can't all be Josh Dobbs, I guess, is what I was trying to say. And more power to him. Meanwhile, out there on the racetrack, more power to Chuck Sweeting. 25 laps to go, out there with a 1-second race lead. And still trying to pull away from Bill Edwards. And hopefully that story about Josh Dobbs is, caution is in the air once again. And, yellow's the color of cheese, so I should probably have... I shouldn't be all too surprised, but hearing that, Bob Giaquino, Bob having a big wiggle there out of turn number 4. Not sure if that kind of looks like hard. Oh, geez.
He can't hold it any longer, Peter. The poor guy, he's suffering.
He needs that new bathroom ASAP. Here we go. Just out of the corner. Let's go back a little bit further, because it just didn't look right. It did not look right. Here we go. On board. Bring up the gyro cam. You see his hands, and he's, trying to save it. You see he's trying to save it, still trying to save it, trying to turn that wheel right, but it's just going left. It is just going left, and then he's trying to save it down into the wall. And then I think he pancakes the wall, and when he does so, it kind of just sticks to the wall. His suspension's broken, and then that little spot right there, boom. I did that once. I hit that wall in a race, believe it or not, but it did not work out well for me. Now, this is very interesting, Chuck Sweeting, up front, doesn't have any fresh sets of tires on pit road. It looks like this group of drivers does, including Philip Scott. Wow, I'm surprised that Philip... Well, I guess I shouldn't be surprised, because I think he took a wave around when a lot of our leaders pitted. I think he has an extra set of tires on pit road. 23 laps to go. With fresh tires, he could be in a really, really, really good position here to possibly walk away with a win.
Whole new ball game, Peter. That changes a lot. You have a car in the 99 with fresh tires, speed, and a driver that is just win or put it on the wrecker. And that's... checkers or records, I guess some people would say. I was looking for the phrase there, and I lost it in the cold and Josh Dobbs talk. But, Wow, Peter, we're going to have some craziness happen, and I don't think we've seen our last yellow if we got guys out there on different tire strategies. And if you're Chuck Sweeting, the distance between you and these fresh tire guys is your friend, but you have to keep in mind wheel spin, which obviously Chuck's a pro, and I don't expect him to have wheel spin, but we've seen talented drivers make that mistake before. And Bill has a lot of speed in that number 5, and he was keeping Chuck within his sights, so every restart's another opportunity to make that 75 uncomfortable and make a move. But I think our camera is focused on the guy that is going to be the most exciting, charging his way through the field, and that's Philip Scott. Had the bad luck earlier in the race, lost his connection, got back in here, was only a lap down, and everything has kind of fallen his way. What a story it would be, Peter, if he could pull this off.
Yeah, it would be mighty impressive. Of course, started tonight's race on the pole. Had connection issues, went one lap down, got a couple of cautions, got the wave around under the second caution of the night, and here in position to use those fresh tires to his advantage. It'll be a 20-lap shootout. As you see, the iRacing pace truck lights have turned off. Not exactly sure who our lucky dog under this caution was, at least from the scoring pile, and it does appear to be Vincent Valvano in the Talkin' Giants Ford, so he has a fresh lease on life as well. Jamar Dimas, look at the number 28 machine, Garrett. He was also turned around earlier in the show. That crew has continued to work on his Ford Taurus. As I think they've got that right rear fender all fixed up now after he kind of backed it up into the wall a while ago. So we got 20 laps, 10 cars on the lead lap. Anyone could walk away as tonight's race winner is the pace truck here. Going to dive onto pit road G. Watch for wheel spin here upcoming.
Let's watch for wheel spin, Peter, and I'm also watching the battle. Jake Bustos, Jamar Dumas, Vincent Valvano on the lead lap have a chance at being our wild card. Those guys are racing each other the back of the pack for that opportunity to try to win this championship. But Chuck Sweeting, great start, and I expected really nothing less of the 75. We didn't really see the wheel spin, but we have them side by side battling, just looking for some racetrack to try to make a pass. 47 looks like he has some speed and some strategy. Might try to make a 3 wide here coming out of turns 3 and 4, but if you're Chuck Sweeting, you love seeing all this action behind you because you're safe up in front.
Yeah, but what you don't want to see is Mike Tellier or Philip Scott on those fresher tires work their way through this traffic too quickly. And it seems like that's what they're doing because Tellier able to get underneath Bronson Stafford with 19 laps to go up into second. This is the highest we've seen the Canadian driver all night long. Philip Scott up into third as well on those fresher tires. This definitely seems to be going not the way Chuck Sweeting wanted it to happen because they have 19 laps with fresher tires to run them down. Looks like the 47 Atelier got loose up out of turn number 4. That's going to give Philip Scott a run on the high line. We've highlighted that a high line is not the preferred line to be on here at the Milwaukee Mile. And as you can see right there, Philip gets sideways up off the corner. Now Tom Bourne getting sideways up off the corner in the back of the shot in front of Bill Edwards. Edwards sliding back now just a little bit. Bustos in 7th. Garrett, I'm just trying to think. I think Tellier's in the top 8. Here comes Tellier with Philip Scott with a big run off of turn number 4, but he has to rein it back behind Tellier as the Tim Hortons machine goes all the way down there onto the flat side of the racetrack. Chuck still holding on to a 1.3 second lead, 17 laps to go. There's Bustos, who is racing with Jamar Dumas for that transfer spot into the chase here in the Total Nonstop Racing League. Jason Freeman saying hello to the best iRacing announcer out there, Peter, and whoever the other guy is in the booth. I don't know who that other guy is, but here comes Philip Scott. He's made the move on Mike Floppy Teller. He's going to try and set sail to run down Chuck Sweeting with 16 laps to go, and it's going to be difficult for Chuck to hold off a hard-charging, fresher tires, number 99 of Philip Scott. Philip's got to get to him, and also going to have to pass him here in the closing stages.
Yeah, Peter, I'm just watching the 99 and the 47 there sort that out. I think you wanted to get that sorted out a little quicker. Those guys are friends. I think there's a mutual respect, but they've also raced each other pretty rough and gotten into some incidents with each other. So I didn't expect it to be easy, but you have to look at each other and realize that we're just holding each other up. And if I'm Mike, the older, wiser Mike, I'm letting Philip Scott go up there and mix it up with that 75 and hoping maybe they get side by side and I could pull this off and sneak out a win. But there's battles all over the racetrack, Peter. Jake up in the 5th. He is, like you said, the highest running of the cars not currently locked into our top 8. And he is doing a heck of a job holding these guys off. But this is going to come down to the wire as far as Philip Scott about 8/10 within 8/10 of our leader, and those guys just swapping positions back and forth as we're taking a look down pit road. Looks like Robert Tripp is maybe called of the day.
Yeah, the number 35 of Robert Tripp was running at the back end of the field. He locked it up coming down pit road. Oof, into the barrels there. No caution for that as he was kind of at the tail end of the field. So usually a caution flag only comes out if and only if there's kind of cars around you and you're stopped on the track. So no one was quite around Robert Tripp when that happened. So we stay green flag here. Philip Scott now almost down to a half second rather behind Chuck Sweeting as he continues to mow him down. Top 3 have really scooted away from Bronson Stafford. Jake Bustos making a pass on Tom Bourne for the 5th position. He's got Jamar Dumas on his tail. Garrett, I think that right now this battle for the transfer spot between Bustos and Dumas is at least the more important battle from a championship perspective. But we're at 12 laps to go, and Philip Scott has basically caught the tail end of the number 75.
Yeah, Philip has gotten there. I mean, clearly a little bit faster than the 47, but you saw the 47 of Mike was able to take his line away and make him work for it. And it cost Philip definitely a couple laps, but it looks like it didn't cost him much speed as he and those new tires on that 99 have gotten him right to the back bumper of Chuck, and we're going to see how hard Chuck wants to fight him. I don't think Chuck will make it easy for him, but at the same time, I think Chuck knows when he's beat on tires, and he might not be able to settle this himself. He might just obviously lose to the fresher tires than the 99. But like you said, Peter, Jamar was able to get into the chase last year on the last chance qualifier at the LA Coliseum, if I remember correctly. So I'm not surprised that the 28 has recovered, put himself in position, and Vinny's right there to capitalize. And speaking of capitalize, we see Philip Scott looking to capitalize and take the lead here off of Chuck Sweeting.
Yeah, fresher tires prevailing here. Philip Scott, the World Ninja League driver, comes out of turn number 4 as your race leader. Started this race on the pole when one lap down, over 40 seconds behind Chuck Sweeting at one point here tonight, and just got himself back to the race lead with 9 laps to go and fresher tires. Those fresh tires are going to feel like a dream. Mike Tellier a little bit further behind, also fresher tires than Chuck Sweeting. Can he finish on the podium here tonight? That would be an interesting strategy call if that all works out. Bronson Stafford in front of Jake Bustos in 4th and 5th. Then Tom Bourne and Bill Edwards. Still seeing Jonathan Gaston not quite on the pace, unfortunately, in the number 72. I know we usually have, or we do have, some Gaston fans in the chat, but Gaston looks like he might just be destined for a 10th place finish here tonight if he can't pick it up in the final 8 or so laps. Meanwhile, let's jump to the battle for 4th position because Garrett Bustos trying to race his way into the chase. Contact behind him. Contact car around Tom Bourne in the number 16 goes around. We just saw the smoke, and that could at least change the complexion of the race a little bit, as maybe Chuck Sweeting has another chance at Philip Scott here.
Yeah, going to cool off the tires and have another shot at him at the very least. I think Philip is still in a great position, Peter, as we take a look at what happened here. 16 and the 5 just... Well, it's not the super speedway race where Bill was just told to push and just goes for it. I think that was just it was go time, and it was a little bit more time to go for the 5 than it was the 16 here as we take a look on board. Bill Edwards just getting a really good run here through the center, and you expect that 16 to pick up the gas a little quicker than as you did, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah, unfortunately for the number 16, who had such a great race going here tonight, it goes around just like that, and it's Just wonder if he has an extra set of, wonder if any of these drivers have an extra set of tires on pit road. As Philip Scott staying out there on the racetrack, let's see if anyone elects to come down. Nope, not seeing any takers on pit road at all. So I think everyone's out of tires, and I think that's just going to give the advantage to Philip Scott here in the closing stages, because really the best way to beat the car out front is to have fresh tires. And it doesn't seem like that's going to happen, as you see the field flash their way on by the start-finish line. Jonathan Gaston back there right in front of the number 16. Looks like Matt Muir in the number 77 will be our lucky dog of the night. Might be the final lucky dog of the night. Got the DC Spark paint scheme on the 77. Of course, that was another one of the EA Sports made-up sponsors and liveries, but he's done another stellar recreation of the EA Sports fantasy driver liveries. I think, Garrett, that a lot of those fantasy drivers were named after individuals who were actually on, I think, the development team of the NASCAR EA Sports games.
Hey, Pierre, I was just thinking, I'd like to get a list of those. It's been a long time since I fired up one of those games. I would like a list of I'm sure somewhere on the interwebs we could find a list of drivers and the made-up sponsors, and just, it might be maybe cool for our throwback race. Instead of a throwback race, we could do some sort of crazy made-up EA Sports sponsor type deal. I don't know. I'm just throwing an idea out there. I mean, we've come up with ideas live on air before, and might be one of those times.
Yeah, I just kind of did a search on the web, and there's not a lot out there, believe it or not, in terms of those fantasy paint schemes. As the iRacing Pace Truck lights are still on, so it looks like maybe a 2-lap shootout is all we're going to get here. But yeah, I'm not seeing a whole lot of those paint schemes. I think I found some on what appears to be an NR 2003 paint scheme website. There's one on Trading Paints, which I'm assuming is the one that we see being run here. Actually, no, that's a different scheme. That is actually by Bryson Hicksonball on Trading Paints. I think Bryson Hicksonball actually races in one of the other leagues that we broadcast here on 3 Wide TV. So cool to see that, but I wouldn't say it is as 100% of a recreation as the one that you see in the number 61 of Bronson Stafford. So yeah, and I'm just not seeing a whole lot of those. We see Joe's snowblowers. That was a.
Oh yes, I remember that. Absolutely.
That was one. But otherwise, I don't see. We might have to find a PlayStation 2 somewhere on the shelf, dust it off, throw in one of those old discs, and take some pictures, some screenshots and stuff with our cell phones, like we used to do back in the day, before cell phones were anywhere as close as good as they are today. And
let's get somebody on that. Maybe Johnny, if you're out there, get a list together. If not, we'll have Rodriguez or one of those guys do it. But let's get back to the matter at hand here, Peter. We have Philip Scott leading them back here. 2-lap shootout. We'll see if Chuck Sweeting was able to cool the tires off and has anything for him. Let's give it a call, bud.
Yeah, green flag. 2-lap shootout. No, Philip Scott got a good jump, as did Tellier. Tellier got a stellar jump, but not as good as Philip Scott. Philip Scott setting the sail out front here at the Milwaukee Mile. Chuck Sweeting trying to hold off for second. Here comes Bronson Stafford. He's going to have a look potentially to the inside of Chuck Sweeting. Nothing for Philip Scott, tonight's pole sitter. He is out front trying to pick up his first win on an oval here in the Total Nonstop Racing League. Tellier slides up the racetrack a little bit. That's going to open the door for Bronson Stafford. I think he had to back off to not get into the back of Chuck Sweeting. White flag is in the air. Wow, Tellier with a huge send-off into turn number 1. He dives underneath Chuck Sweeting. I think that caught Chuck by surprise, and it's going to be side by side for a second as Philip scoots away up at the front of the field. As they're 3 wide further back to the 16 of Tom Bourne in the wall. Bill Edwards also involved in the accident back there, but Mike Tellier and Chuck Sweeting going to be the race to the line. Philip Scott going to come around at turn number 4 to get his first win on an oval here in the TNR Cup Series. Tellier going to get second, Sweeting third. But the cheesiest driver of the day, Philip Scott, going to victory lane.
Philip Scott making his way to victory lane, and Jake Bustos in the Coleman's Care 74 making his way into the championship chase by finishing 4th. What a race. What a crazy finish. And Philip Scott redemption. And Mike even giving him a little love there. I think Mike appreciates the effort. The 99 did not give up, did not quit when he had those internet issues, and was able to pull off this victory, Peter. And if you could figure out a way to make this not an oval track and take it away from him in post race, I would really appreciate it. So I'll leave you to that. Do some math, get your geometry books out, and maybe some of that aeronautical engineer stuff, and we'll figure this out as he does burnouts. But Philip Scott coming home in first, Mike Floppy Tellyer in second, and Chuck Sweeting rounding out our podium. What a race. Great way to end the regular season. And these guys can't wait to get started and try to chase this Tall Non-Stop Racing Shoes Lawn Care Championship.
And I believe, Garrett, that next week, with the way it was decided, I think next week is an off week. Is that correct? Do I remember that correctly, that we decided to have an off week next week? Or am I completely off base?
I think we got rid of the off week, Peter, but if you certainly need an off week, that is something we could discuss post-race. But as of right now, I think our schedule is set for North Wilkes-Barre next week.
Yeah, you're right. October 2nd, North Wilkes-Barre. October 9th, California. October 16th, Watkins Glen, Twin Ring, Motegi. October 23rd, and then we round out the season at Homestead, Miami. So 5 races left to decide a champion. And Philip Scott going to burn it down here on the front stretch. We're going to get some post-race interviews with our top 3 finishers here tonight. Philip Scott, Mike Floppy Tellier. As, well, you know, Garrett, that Philip's going to burn it down until there's nothing left.
Yeah, that's for sure. He's not going to leave anything. He's really happy, and I think you're going to, we always joke about Philip's interviews going on for forever in a day when we interview him, but we're going to hear the relief in his voice and a lot of excitement because he probably thought he let this one get away from him, and everything just kind of fell his way tonight, and he winds up in victory lane.
Let's see if we can catch up with tonight's third place finisher, driver of the number 75 machine, Chuck Sweeting. G, take it away.
Well, Chuck, you had a lot of speed in the number 75. What else is new? You just got out-tired there at the end. Is that pretty much your interpretation of events?
Yeah, you got to have everything fit together right, and things just didn't work out tonight. We gave it our best. We had speed and thought we had good strategy, but I'll take a third. It's a good finish. I had fun. It's great racetrack, so I like racing here. So we'll try to do a little better next week.
Yeah, speaking of next week, we're headed to North Wilkes-Barre. You're obviously a contender here for our championship as we go into the chase. Chase events, we have North Wilkes-Barre, California, Watkins Glen, Twin Ring, Motegi, and Homestead. What are your thoughts on those upcoming tracks? Are there any of those tracks that you might be weak at? Let's go with that as a question.
Well, Watkins Glen, I'm average at best. California, I love. Motegi should be okay. I don't have a lot of experience there, but it's a nice track. And Homestead, I like a lot. So it's kind of hit and miss the rest of the way. So we're just going to have to try to get good finishes on the tracks I'm weaker at, and then try to get some wins on the tracks I'm better at.
Do you change your strategy any going for the championship than you do on a week-to-week basis? I mean, you're always in contention for the win. I think you trust pretty much everyone in this league as far as who you race with, but is there anything in the back of your mind as we head into next week out North Wilkes-Barre that says, I'm racing for points here. I can't be the first one out of this race by putting myself in a bad position?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially going there to that track. That track can be pretty tough. Although this league is really clean, so I'm not overly concerned about it. But yeah, getting to the finish is the first priority, and hopefully just being up front at the end to try to get a good finish is the main goal. If we can get the win, great. If not, if we can finish top 3, top 5, then that'll be okay. We'll take it and go on to the next one.
Well, certainly not the night you were hoping for in the number 75. I know you were planning on being in victory lane, but certainly congratulations on your third place podium finish. And before we let you go, if you'd like to give your usual shout outs, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, just thanks to all the admins. Thanks to Jason Shoes Lawn for supporting the league. Congrats to Philip. I mean, he earned it. I don't know what had happened if he hadn't lost his connection. I could gain on him one lap when he would be in traffic, and then and then he would be even when we weren't in traffic. So um, good chance he probably would have won it anyway. But kind of won it in an unusual way tonight, but he earned it, that's for sure. So, but yeah, just thanks to the fans, thanks to all the admins for hard work they do week in and week out, and thanks to you guys for putting on an awesome broadcast.
Well, thanks for the kind words, Chuck, and we certainly appreciate having you. And good luck as you try to capture this Total Nonstop Racing Shoes Lawn Care Cup Championship these next couple of weeks.
All right, thanks a lot. You guys have a great night.
Well, we certainly will have a great night, and I'm sure Mike, and Peter down here in the second place section of the pit road, we're hoping for just a little bit better of a night. But let's hear what that sneaky Canadian son of a gun has to say, Peter.
Well, I'll tell you what, yeah, definitely a good night for Mike Tellier with, you kind of said the out-tired strategy there for when you talked with Chuck Sweeting, but on the flip side of that, you have the number 47 of Mike Tellier, who is, I guess, with the tired strategy, but not actually tired, but the one with tires, fresh tires at the end. Mike, kind of tell us about your night. It definitely didn't seem like a podium run was in store in practice or qualifying, but you eked this one out, buddy. Tell us about it.
Hey, man, the tortoise beats the hare. What can I say? No, I didn't want cautions. I don't know. I was in the fuel saving strategy from the get-go. I was like, if I can get to like lap 55 and then 110-ish for the first two runs, like I'll go hard run 3. And every time I pit, it was like the next lap, the freaking caution would come out and I put myself behind, and then I'd have to do a wave around, and yeah, my tires would be like a couple laps older than everyone. But man, the worst timing, kind of, tonight. I don't know, because here I am talking with you beautiful people.
Well, it definitely worked out in your favor with those caution flags. Sometimes you're for them, and sometimes you're against them. But I was mighty impressed with some drivers taking the wave around here tonight and kind of being able to stay in position to stay on the lead lap. Just tell us how frustrating it was to have older tires for a portion of the race.
I had a really weird racing line. So my old tires were as fast as my new tires, Peter. I was lifting basically the start finish line and just coasting into 1 and 2 nice and easy, and then I was lifting well before the billboards on the backstretch to get into 3 and 4 nice and easy. I don't think I ran a fast lap. I don't even know what my fastest lap was. So I don't know if people burn up right front tires, burn up right rear tires. My issue was I was not fast on the short run, so I was playing the long run game, and I didn't have an issue with that. So yeah.
Just looking at the data that I have, your fastest lap was, well, about 3.5 tenths slower than Tom Bourne and Chuck Sweeting, who had the 2 fastest laps here tonight. So maybe not fast, but like you said, Tortoise sometimes ekes one out over the hare. Of course, we do go into the playoffs next week. Or the chase rather, next week we got North Wilkesboro. What are your thoughts about that short track? It's got a few parallels to what you saw here tonight.
Well, my first ever oval TNR win since we came back on iRacing came in the ARCA cars at North Wilkesboro. So I'm excited to go race another short track. I've done really well on these mile or smaller tracks this season, or like the 2.5 mile tracks. To get away from the intermediates, keep me off road courses, because we all know I can't turn right. Let's go to the super speedways and short tracks, and I think I might actually win a trophy.
Well, definitely looking pretty good here tonight. Mike, before we let you go, any shout-outs?
Yeah, what are you eating? It sounds like it could be delicious.
I'm fighting off a headache with some Cinnamon Life, so big shout-out to Cinnamon Life.
Yeah, Cinnamon Life. There we go. Garrett, TNR, 3Y TV, Sky Motorsports. My kids, if they ever get around to watching one of these things, but I doubt it. Yeah, and Life, because life is wonderful.
Especially with cinnamon. Mike, congratulations on second here tonight, and we'll see you again next week at North Wilkes.
Yeah, thanks, Peter.
All right, well, we'll let him go celebrate his runner-up finish, and now I think Garrett Gleason is ready for the longest interview in the history of 3-Wide TV. Okay, probably not true, but it'll be close. Jeep.
It'll certainly be close. But now, Philip, Peter has a headache. I've been sick since last Thursday. If we could keep this short and sweet, but please let us know what went on. You're dominating the race early on. Connection problem. You dropped out. I was nervous there was a tornado. Peter was looking up weather forecast for your area. What happened, brother?
It was really random. I just, in the middle of the race, I have Ethernet, so my connection's almost always stable. And all of a sudden I just saw that like little bar go from like all the cars disappear and the bar go from yellow to red, and oh yeah, I was fuming, but thankfully I kept it in check enough and just reset once I reconnected. I was just like, all right, time to just drive and see how much closer I can get, because I know how fast I am. I felt like if the cautions fell the right way, I could get like a top 5. So, and they definitely fell the right way. Right out of the gate, I just went as fast as I possibly could, and was only like 10 seconds out from, got all the way back up to like 10 seconds out from unlapping myself. Then the cautions came out and I had burned up my stuff a little bit, but I feel really comfortable around Milwaukee. So I just kept going, did the wave around, pit when I could, and got another wave around. Then the caution fell again, and because my plan the whole time was 2-stopping it, so I had an extra set of tires at the end, and so did Floppy, and Floppy just beat me out of the pits near the end there. And I knew I just had to be patient. Floppy was, I knew that, of course. We always race each other hard, so I just trying to time my move right, and then got by him, and then I was really nervous the last bit because I knew I could eventually get by Chuck, so I was just taking my time, and then once I got it, I knew he was going to hug the bottom, so I just made sure to get him like on the like right on the exit, like hook it in, and just like really wrap that curb and get the power off, and then got by him, and then there was that green white checkered. I knew that I really like I really like restarts, so especially when I'm in control, because I really like getting on the power, like 900 horses. So I knew that if I just timed it right, I could like be gone, and then I still can't believe I pulled that off.
Well, we certainly could believe you pulled off because, like you said, those yellows and wave arounds and everything just kind of fell where they needed to fall, and you rarely see that. And I know from your perspective, you probably feel like you rarely get that lucky where everything just kind of plays gives back what they took from you, what your internet took from you. But 2 seasons in a row, you're a contender for the championship. We're headed into the chase. North Wilkes-Barre, California, Watkins Glen, which is obviously a place I know that you're planning on winning. Twin Ring, Motegi, and Homestead. What are you looking forward to in the chase, and what are you not looking forward to?
Yeah, so I think the one I'm obviously looking most forward to is Watkins Glen, obviously. But I get the most nervous about road courses because I know that all eyes are usually on me, and so I always like want to make sure that I'm doing as good as I should be on the road. But I'm really excited about Watkins Glen. That'll be a lot of fun. And then North Wilkes-Barre will be fun too. That's another track. Like I won Milwaukee and NSRA. I also won at North Wilkes-Barre and NSRA, so I feel pretty comfortable there. But it's a whole different beast in the Gen 4. Lines are going to be, you're going to see really different lines from normal North Wilkes-Barre. And then obviously I really like Auto Club. I like Twin Ring Motegi a lot too. We haven't been there in a few seasons, but it was a blast. And I'm really looking forward to it again. And then Homestead, I need to practice that one because I've never been great at Homestead actually, which is funny because you'd think riding the wall would fit me, but just the way iRacing is and just the way certain cars have been that I've driven, riding the wall, because I like to ride the wall like from the get-go, and it just doesn't work out like that. You burn up the rears too much. So yep, got to put in the laps. But I really want to get this back to back because just because last time it was really hard to get, and this time, like this whole season, I've really felt like I've had the speed all year, so I really want to back it up.
Well, you certainly have had the speed all year, and you are our defending champion, which was a poor way to put that sentence. And I certainly believe you will be in contention to the very last lap this season. But Philip, before we let you go, because Peter has a headache, and it's your first oval win, I want you to go celebrate. RC Plains was pumped in the chat, all the goodness and all the great things happen. Let's end this before we ruin it, but give a shout out to your family, friends, and sponsors, bud. You definitely deserve this, and we look forward to cheering you on as the chase starts.
Yeah, so shout outs to obviously you guys and everyone that makes up TNR and makes it the great league it is, because it is a blast every week. It doesn't matter the cars or whatever, because I know that we might be going trucks next season. I don't, no matter what, this group of guys is just so fun to race with every week. And yeah, I really really enjoy it. It's kind of crazy it took me this long to get my first oval win, but yeah. And then of course World Ninja League, and shout out to all my friends that support me. And yeah, and also the lesson learned, I was really pissed. Don't get pissed and yell expletives over and over again for several minutes straight until you reconnect, because it can work out, and it's not impossible. Just I still can't believe I pulled it off.
And pulled it off, you did. Congratulations. You have what everybody wants going into the chase and for the championship, and that's momentum. But enjoy this win, and we look forward to seeing you at North Wilkesboro next week.
Thanks, man.
Well, Peter, that's what we have. What's about it down here from Victory Lane. I'll throw it back to you, and I guess we'll do our final rundown, and we'll wish everybody a happy and safe week.
Yeah, we have to go through those final race results here for the Wisconsin Cheese 150. Thank you, of course, to Bill Edwards for sponsoring tonight's race and supporting the league. Philip Scott taking home the win by 1 second over Mike Floppy Tellier. Chuck Sweeting losing that second spot right there at the end on all their tires, finishing third. Jake Bustos punching his ticket into the chase for the championship in fourth. Bronson Stafford in fifth. Our points leader entering into tonight. Jamar Dumas in sixth. Jonathan Gaston down in seventh. Matt Muir in eighth. Tom Bourne, Bill Edwards rounding out our top 10. Not sure exactly what happened there. Bill was involved in a last lap accident with Tom Bourne. That's correct. Vincent Valvano in 11th. Jason Schue in 12th. Robert Tripp, Bob Giaquinto, 13th and 14th. And rounding out our 15-car field here tonight, Brandon Buchwald here in the Total Nonstop Racing Shoes Lawn Care Service Cup Series. Big shout out to Shoes Lawn Care Service for sponsoring the league, of course, as well as Dunay Jewelers and Talking Giants. And, of course, Jimbo over at Stay Tuned Sports. Not sure how the Eagles are doing, but last I saw they're winning. That was me trying to find my phone to check out the score. But last I saw, the Eagles were winning. So Jimbo will be happy. Meanwhile, G and I will we'll just have to eat another Eagles victory, it looks like, as they're up 25-11 late. But, G, a lot of fun here tonight. North Wilkesboro next week. Short track action. Should be a lot of action.
Yeah, should be a lot of action. I think we have to decide on a theme. I think we'll have some cool-looking race cars, and I hope you feel better. I hope I feel better, and I hope everybody tunes in, including Mr. Gaston's class next week, and we'll see what we have as far as the race goes. I think it'll be a heck of a show.
That it will be. For myself, Peter Shorten, Garrett Gleason, and everyone else in the 3 Wide TV family, folks, stay safe and all of that good stuff, and we shall see ya!